wondering, I've watched this video of yours, the academic problems with evolution. I've watched it 6 times, and every time I watch it, I always learn something new because you say so much, so many things which are profound within those 30 minutes. Yeah, so it's really lovely. So, but the last time I watched it, I got intrigued, so I downloaded an Origin of Species PDF, and I jumped straight to chapter 6 just to read what that man wrote. And then I was mostly interested in the part of with gradualism and all that which you mentioned. But as I was reading, I noticed something else. He is, or he was, as you said, an honest guy, and he admits that sometimes what he's saying is not rational, is not reasonable. And one of the things he mentioned is that he finds a hard time explaining how a creature which does not have certain features can get those through mutations and evolution. And he took the eye as an example. You probably know this. He said that I know it's hard to understand how an eyeless creature can get an eye through mutation, but then he tried to give an analogy to make this reasonable and rational. He said, look at the telescope, for example. We have a telescope, and then throughout the history of human history, people have developed it and enhanced it. But I find that analogy fundamentally flawed, because it's a difference between having something and enhancing it and developing it, and not having something and which comes to existence. And I just wanted to know if you agree with me, because if this is fundamentally flawed, then well, I don't know, Darwin was this ill advised.
Yeah. So what you're alluding to here, brother.
Yeah.
Jazakallah khair for watching the video 6 times. It actually makes me feel a lot better, because sometimes
I actually added timestamp. So if you really want to feel good, pin that.
Bro, that makes me so happy, because I sometimes think that most people don't actually bother listening to the content. And the reason why I know that is when they come and ask me the questions, they haven't actually listened to the talk. So the fact that you've listened to it 6 times and you bothered to check one of the references and go and read it up actually really is motivating. Yeah. So firstly, you refer to chapter 6 of the Origin of Species. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's look into this. When Darwinism entered Arabia, they called it Al-Madhab al-Darwiniya. So let's do some tafsir of this chapter 6. Yeah. So
Sure.
chapter 6, essentially, the maqsad, the purpose behind the chapter was for Darwin to do self-criticism.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. He wrote the chapter to show people that there are problems with my theory. That was his intention, which is a very noble intention. And as you mentioned, it mentions gradualism. It mentions these forms that we're speaking about. And the critique that you just made, brother, is the same critique which is made by intelligent design proponents.
Yeah.
And previously, I've had some of them on my channel, and they would articulate it in a more sophisticated way, but essentially they say the same thing that you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely correct. Natural selection is a conservative force. It's there to preserve. It's not there to generate.
Yeah.
How do you get wings in the first place? How do you get eyes in the first place? How can we explain the origin of body plans? All these types of things. So I think it's very important that these problems are highlighted, and I think the problem that you've highlighted for the Darwinists is a real one and is a pertinent one, which they haven't so far sufficiently addressed. In fact, I would go on to say there's a lot of hand waving going on instead of actually responding to the argument. But you're absolutely right in that.
Okay. Well, that's the only thing. I wanted to know if I was right in my thinking, or if I'm stupid. But it seems like it's no, I'm right.
Oh, brother, you're definitely not stupid, mashallah. Very intelligent guy.
Well, thank you. Well, I really love what you're doing, and
don't do that. We're gonna get flagged. There's a brother here who wants to do something on the live, and I just asked him.
Yeah. But yeah. And that's just everything I had, and I love what you guys do, and Muhammad Hijab and Sabur, and all of you guys. So may Allah give you the highest paradise, highest level of Jannah.
Ameen, ameen. Jazakallah khair.
Brother, yeah.
You got my email, darwiniandelusions@gmail.com. Email me. I'm very, very happy that you're listening to the content and you're actually checking the references and you're doing your own reading on the references. Wallahi, it makes me so happy.
Well, I studied biomedical engineering and I'm a master's student, so it is
MashaAllah.
interesting. Yeah.
MashaAllah. Allah bless you.
I mean,
All right. Assalamu
yeah,
alaikum.
listen,